All right, thank you all for joining. My name is Derek Wood. I'm the product manager here at SOS, and today we're going to be going through the SOS Online Backup Service Solution Partner Program, discuss the top 3 trends in cloud backup and why we feel that our cloud backup solution and partner program is really going to meet those needs for you as best as can be, really. So we can start with first just getting kind of an idea of what brought you here. So why are you taking a look at our webinar today? Are you currently using a backup solution and you're looking at replacing it? Do you currently have a local backup only, and then you're looking for more endpoint protection and also taking your central server backups offsite as well? What's the general interest? And we'll make sure to gear how we talk towards those points. A couple of questions already, which is a great point. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll have sometimes we'll go through a slide and then we'll stop for specific questions and answers. But if at any time you have a question or a comment, feel free to put that through GoToWebinar. First question is, will this be recorded? Yes, all of our webinars are recorded and then posted on our website so you can view past webinars as well. So today's agenda, I'm going to give you a quick run through of who SOS is and where we've come from, what we're doing. Then we're going to jump right into the industry overview and the opportunity that awaits all of us. What kind of money can be made in online backup? Why are we talking about it? Then we're going to dive right into how we satisfy online backup and those trends. What do you get by joining into the SOS family? Then we're going to go over specifically the features and benefits. We're going to go through our infrastructure, which is very important, especially when we're talking about backup services. And then we're going to go through the trends, talk a little bit about pricing options, and then go through a product tour. So I'll do a run through on a Windows 2008 server box that we got set up for you. So to get started, the graph on the right is just your 101 market life cycle. So it's the early innovators get in early, then the market grows and grows and grows, everybody enters the market, and then natural supply and demand, it comes back down. So what we're looking at is the adoption life cycle of online backup, where we see ourselves and where everyone else, IDC and Gartner, so this isn't just SOS being hopeful, is we're right in the middle of a huge hockey stick growth. So if that term is familiar to you, but we're looking at huge numbers. When we first started with SOS, we were over on the left of this innovator side. In 2001, this was born out of a dorm room. So it's like a lot of Silicon Valley great stories, dorm room entrepreneurship. It took a few years to really get out to market, and then 2005, 2006 was when we really launched to the world. We were the first backup company to introduce a client-side encryption key, and we've always maintained security as the foremost aspect of this whole program. So when you're talking about SOS Online Backup, why aren't we as well known? Well, being that we focus on security, we don't focus on consumers. We generally focus on businesses, financial institutions, legal entities, government agencies, education facilities, businesses that truly need a secure backup solution. So through the innovation stage, we had most of the growth in the market between 2007 and 2005 to 2008 was kind of light, and it was generally individual users. So we sold a lot of small accounts to a lot of people. From 2008 to 2011, there was a 33% growth year over year in this industry alone and spending on online backup. That was only the early adopters, still mainly consumer driven. What we're looking at today is the adoption of online backup into the small and medium business world. Now, SMBs are what runs the country. It's what the majority of the business transactions that are done through small businesses. So this is huge. This means that not only are we looking at a huge growth in adoption as far as per customer adoption rate, but the staggering growth is we're looking at the scope of adoption. So what do I mean by adoption rate versus scope of adoption? Before, maybe you sold a single online backup account to just a couple of users in your business to cover the endpoints. You had a couple of guys who worked from home or who travel a lot, and you needed a way to back up their data. If you did that at all, which brings up another question. What type of solutions do you all have in place for endpoint protection today? So laptops, workstations, tablets, cell phones, with the bring your own device thing is really huge, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but what kind of solutions do you have out there? If not, is this why you're looking at us? Because if you didn't realize it, SOS covers all your points. Endpoints from phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, servers, and we'll talk about that. So the scope of adoption is, instead of just having a single user, and this is a complementary service to your tape system, you now have a online backup-centric backup solution. So a backup solution has multiple strategies. It's all about that belt and suspender approach. You have fail-safes for your fail-safes. So you have online backup installed at each workstation, even though the workstations are terminal machines. Why? You back them up on a more regular basis, and it gives you yet another point of recovery. It's really about the coverage you're looking for. Today, people and businesses are really looking at the business continuity services, the managed service that is coming out in the market. Managed services are described differently than IT services, as in your customers are paying you every month a fixed amount based on services that you are promising to deliver, and then you give them a report at the end of the month to do that. So this fee includes preventative measures, any type of basic reactionary measures. Maybe it also includes a certain number of billable hours. So every month you have 4 tech hours to use as well. And then, of course, there are a la carte items. They need a new machine or whatever it is. It depends on the level of managed service. And oftentimes those things can be grouped into more strategic, the platinum package, the gold package, the never going to lose anything, you're always going to be up and running package. Whatever you want to call it. Be creative. We don't call this a disaster recovery plan anymore. We don't call it risk management, which is a formal project management term. You make it a little sexier. It's business continuity. This is about making your business productive and keeping it productive, whatever that means. Preventative measures or introducing new technology. So being a managed service provider also allows you to truly be what you are, which is a specialist. The IT service relationship is much kind of like what some people would consider a mechanic relationship. You drive the car, you use it for what it's built for, but as far as how it works and keeping it working, you don't really know it. So you take it to this mechanic, and you have to really trust this guy or this gal to only fix what needs to be fixed, and to fix it in a way that it's not going to break again shortly. Managed services is what bridges the gap between that fear from the customer relationship. But of course, you have new worries. You're going to work yourself out of a job because the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. You do too good of a job, they don't see you in the office, nothing breaks. They think, oh, what am I paying you for? Nothing breaks anymore. It's like, well, it's because I'm doing all this work, and that's when the reporting comes in. So what we're doing with our backup solution is we're giving you all these different strategies to combine into a single solution. You have less vendor relationships to manage. You have less vendors and services to train your staff on. So the overhead needs and the soft cost of time really adds up. Plus, we're generally going to be a lot more affordable than all the other solutions out there, and we're going to get everything covered. So it's really quite a unique solution. So what do you get with the partner program? Well, the first line here is a website template, and it's really kind of a poor way to describe this unique product that we offer you. So the SOS program from 2005 was primarily small local businesses. We had some really large partners we did custom development work for, and we still do that a lot. The partner program has always been the basis of our company. We had an affiliate program until about 2009, 2009, we saw that the SMB market was growing, and the way into the halls of those small businesses and into the servers and machines is through their IT personnel. And that's how we've always maintained our business, is we go through the specialists. So the specialists in 2009 got a great wholesale white labeled program where you can now buy in bulk, get a good discount, and we white label the services for you. What we were seeing in 2009, 2010 is a lot of the get up and go into the market was getting stuck on getting some web content together, getting integration with a merchant gateway, these types of things. So we took our APIs that we saw our partners struggling with, or just spending extra money. It was $5,000 about average, what our partners were spending just to get that basic integration done. Well, we've now pre-integrated this into multiple systems, and we just give this to you as part of the program. If you are one of those partners that still has in-house development staff and you're a little more sophisticated on your web marketing and web design, then that's great. You can take our APIs. You don't have to use this. But it's simply something that we put together because we saw it help our customers. And it doesn't have anything to do with backup. It has to do with you being able to get up and go to the market as quickly as possible. And just a testament to our dedication to our partners in selling online backup in the market. So going through the partner program comparison of some of the other providers out there, we've always maintained and still maintain today that we are the most focused on the channel. And that's even with a small direct operation. 80% of our business is through the channel. We do have a small direct business that we only really started marketing towards it for about a year ago. So even though we do have a direct market channel, we're not targeting small businesses. We do have small business offerings. All of our business from the web is from consumers. We're looking at all sorts of things that we're providing towards you as far as the marketing materials, the web integration package, which is not just unique in this industry, it's kind of unique in any partner program for any type of service that you can be reselling. No one else really does something like that. So the value that you're getting from our program, plus at the rate you're getting it, is really bar none. Our location across the world is really uncompared as well. We have about 4 data centers here in the States we use, 1 in Canada, the UK. We're moving to Germany soon. We also put a data center up in South Africa. So South Africa and the UK, they're a little bit behind where the US market is as far as the adoption of online backup, and we're already there. In fact, we're the first ones there, and our flexibility to get to market more quickly is terrific. So if you have a need for a location in Central or South America, we're very interested, and we're waiting for those markets to get to a point where it makes sense. And what better way to identify that time than from one of you to come to us and say, hey, we need to take Brazil to online backup and do that now, or Peru, which is a likely candidate, Colombia also looking a lot better, Costa Rica, El Salvador, those types of countries. So here's the product suite, and of course our wheel of services that we're getting to. So at the top we have Backup Your Cloud Life. So this is up and coming. This is a experimental group of services that we're going to be looking at. There has been and still is a huge entry into cloud services in the market, and there's a misconception and a perception that just because it's in the cloud, it's backed up. And that's not the case at all. There are thousands of Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts, Gmail accounts on a daily basis that are lost. The data is wiped. The accounts are infiltrated because the security is not a focus of these services. And these are the things that the market is quickly coming around. There's actually a study by Gartner that says sync is not backup, and this is why. And there have been tons of articles in the tech blogosphere about how this is what it is. Going to what you do get. So those are experimental, and we'll be rolling those out to our channel as soon as they're ready. Backup Your Desk Life. Endpoint protection. Backing up from your user's point of view has been one of the most uncommon and also one of the biggest risks that you take in managing any type of a network. Backing up data directly from the source, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, is the best way to maintain that the intellectual property, the work that you're paying people to do, is protected. Your server solution, which we've added here, which you see on the right side, about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock rock type of deal. Image backup of the servers, this is a nightly backup, typically. You can do incrementals a couple hours throughout the day, but your restore point objective, as far as how far back can you go, is not nearly as great and as flexible as what you can do from an individual workstation. So even those of you who are saying, well, we're not going to back up the endpoints because they're all terminal services, they're all dummy machines. Well, if you give your users an individual backup account each to use productively, if they're backing up every hour, that's likely to be more frequent than what they're backing up, than what you're backing up from the server. This gives an added flexibility, and again, a belt suspenders approach to backup. Also, Forrester is reporting that over 2/3 of users have at least 2 devices, one of which is typically their own. Bring your own device. Some of you may be familiar with this concept. There are so many devices out there that rather than a company top-down enforcing you have to use this tablet, you have to use this, you have to use that, and some will do that. But it's also quite expensive to keep up to date. Having to replace an iPad every 2 years for 500 employees is a huge expense that wasn't there 3 years ago. So the IT budget and spending has grown, even though people are looking at the economy saying maybe business growth isn't there. IT spending has not changed, and in fact, it's increasing. With your SOS solution, you can back up iPhone application data, you can back up your data from your iPhone, including contacts and pictures. From your Droid devices, you can back up the whole file structure. And we've actually been seeing, and kind of surprised at it, is that our Android users, on average, are backing up about 8 to 10 gigs worth of data. That's a ton of data that may be important to a business. And it's important to cover, especially with the portability of mobile devices being mobile. Their exposure to damage, risk, loss, theft is much greater than your laptop or your desktop. So it's important to get these endpoints. With the same solution, you're backing up your file systems as far as your file servers. You can back up your SQL server, Exchange, SharePoint. Our server license includes granular Exchange recovery, which we'll show you in the demo. And it's not an add-on. It's not a feature that you have to enable. It's simply a default way of how the system works together. Any questions on the services you're getting? Just to reiterate, here's a nice little table that just shows it. Exchange backup and granular recovery. Again, every license comes with the ability to back up Exchange. This is not an add-on or a plug-in. It just is what it is. The granular recovery aspect of it is not an additional add-on, and you don't have to enable your backup to support granular recovery, as you often have to with other services. It's simply the way it works. So Exchange granular recovery is a separate application that you use for just that purpose. Bare metal image creator. This is the program that you would use to create bare metal images of certain partitions. So you can back up anything on a partition, SharePoint, Exchange, just the OS and program file data, anything. This gives you a bare metal option. You can also convert this into a virtual machine, so VMDK or VHD, on a regular basis, and that is an extra $150 license to do that conversion on a regular basis. But for the most part, people would just do it manually if they use it at all. Online backup and recovery manager. This describes the online backup application. You're going to use this to take things to the cloud and to get things back from the cloud. You install this on file servers, workstations, your staging machines, anywhere where there's user data to be backed up. Workstation backup. We list this as a separate item to just reiterate the point that workstation and laptops being terminal services does not mean that you don't have to back them up. It really is a truly wonderful solution to have backup of the same data from multiple points. That's the whole point of backup solutions versus a backup strategy. a backup strategy. I have bare metal backups running to tapes every night. That's great. That helps you in some cases of data loss and in some cases of recovery needs. But what if your user's off-site and they just need to share something? What if, this isn't active data and this is something that you wouldn't typically have protected in a collaboration type of software? Protected means put into. So there's a lot more value here that you can add. Plus, you're selling more backup space. The Premier Web Integration Package, of course, we went over that a little bit, and I'll show you what that means. But again, this is to take the development requirements out of integration. So you got a question from Jermaine. You mentioned API. Does this integrate with ConnectWise? No, we do not have a direct integration with ConnectWise. We are launching a developers community, though, and we'll show you what we've been doing in the community and how we work with our partners and what that means. But our APIs are available to all of our partners. Premier Web, or the mobile applications, these are available in a neutral brand. The iPhone application is, for now, unfortunately, published by SOS Online Backup per requirement by Apple. So Apple's a little tougher to get around on these things. But the Android application, they're both, and the iPhone, they're both named Managed Online Backup. You can search for them and download those and start protecting your data. And you can also access and share data that's in your backup set as well. So it's really quite a powerful solution that we're giving you. So then just kind of going over some of the feature sets of what we're looking at versus our competitors. Our take is really kind of a, SOS versus Goliath. Goliath being the old bare metal backup companies that have been in the market for decades. So Zenith and Trinus is a newer one, but Zenith, Evolve, Symantec, we're going after these companies and really kind of coming out of nowhere. We were primarily an endpoint protection service. With the addition of our server technology, we are now offering the same functionality. I mean, there's some bells and whistles differently. There are some things that they do that we don't. There are some things that we do that they don't. But the difference in cost to you and cost to your users is so great that it really makes a whole lot of sense to switch over to what we have for you. So some of the big features, just to list off a few, we do bare metal backup and recovery. We do Exchange backup and granular recovery. So Windows Server backup, SharePoint, SQL, central management, as far as our dashboards will show you. The focus on security is bar none when it comes to cloud services. So we're really looking at those types of things. So being able to get total protection of your business is really important, not just having a single solution. Unlimited seats per account. You get an online backup account, install that online backup account on as many machines as you like. You're only limited by the number of gigabytes available in that account. For ServerSave, there's a per-seat license for creating image backups. Transactionally consistent backups is very important. So a lot of services have come out with cheaper, cheaper bare metal image type solutions that are not transactionally consistent, which means they can back up the data while it's open, but it's not going to capture everything. You're going to be losing those transactions that are in queue, and that's really important. So one example we like to make about transactionally consistent backup, just to clarify, is let's say Jermaine here is going to buy a MiG fighter from Daryl Morris on eBay. He's buying it for a cool $30 million. Who doesn't love a $30 million MiG? So the transaction comes in a pair, and they're stored and they're backed up as pairs. So the pair goes in the queue. The first operation is take $30 million out of Jermaine's account. Second transaction is put $30 million into Daryl's account. With a transactionally consistent backup, we negotiate with the database. We say, hold your horses, or after this next transaction, don't put any more in queue. Quick snapshot, okay, continue. That happens in milliseconds. A crash consistent backup, which is what some of the cheaper services do, and you have to really dig in to make sure that you're not getting into one of these, is it's going to cut right in the middle of that transaction. So $30 million is out of Jermaine's account, but it's not in Daryl's. and the MIG fighter is not in Jermaine's backyard. It's a sad story. So this is a very important distinction to understand. Also, none of these guys are doing rebranding. The unlimited version history of the online backup software is just untouched in the market. No one comes close. So it's an unlimited free archival service, essentially. So those of you familiar with archiving services, especially with images, can be quite expensive. What we mean by free archival, if you have a file and it changes, so say your PST file, and you're backing that up. It's maybe 2 gigs on day 1. It's day 365, it's 5 gigs. And you've been backing it up 3 times a day, every day, for 365 days. You have access to each version of that PST file for the whole year and beyond. And we're only going to charge your backup account 5 gigs. So it's the largest version of a file. All right, got some questions. So a lot of times, okay, we have some questions here. Daryl Moore says, how do you compare to other online competitors like Dropbox and Box when it comes to mobile backup? Those are not backup services at all. We actually are launching a separate competitive service with them in the next week here. And Dropbox and Box are not backup services. If you need more information, just search Gartner, sync is not backup. And that's it. Can you repeat that part? Dropbox and Box and other collaboration services are not backup. And the difference is fundamental in what you're doing with the files. Backup, when you create a backup file, you're never writing that file again. You may have another version, and we're unique in that we don't erase versions on a schedule. So a lot of people will erase versions. We keep all versions indefinitely, and we only charge your account against the size of the largest version. So again, you have 500 versions of a 3 gig file. You don't have 1,500 gigabytes used in your backup account. You only have 3. So it's very nice and it's completely unique. That's a huge selling point for legal and financial entities. So those of you hitting up the financial industries, legal, that kind of retention policy is huge for them. Question, is that deduplication? In some sense, yes. Okay, so, but we do identify files as unique if the file path changes. Okay, so Dropbox and Box collaboration services, they are fundamentally not backup because when you create a backup file, you never change that backup file. Because as soon as you start writing to that backup file, it's no longer a backup, it's active. So we're launching a whole new service that is a secure version of Box and Dropbox. I think you're all going to be pretty pumped on it. And it's a free part of the program. So once you're an online backup partner, you don't have to pay for that as an add-on. It's just available to you, and it's a mass distribution model, which you guys will get details in as you become partners of ours. Yeah. So the whole idea is we just wanted you guys to not work so hard and make some money, right? That's what we try. Okay. SOS ServerSave difference. You're missing being able to restore to VHD, VMware, and being able to bring a server up in the cloud. No, that's not true. So you can convert the bare metal image files into VHDs or VMDKs on a regular basis. You can back those up, and we have a cloud boot service where if you say, okay, we're really pretty screwed here, server went down, we need to get up and running immediately. So you can, there's different levels of services. Talk to your partner specialist about this. You can do it where you're just backing up the bare metal images, in which case we will recover it in our environment, and then we'll mount it as a virtual machine and then give you an IP address to that machine. It's not a simple one-click, execute button in the client software yet, but it's available for you. Good question, David. All right. Rick asks about code 42. I'm not familiar with what code 42 is. All right, so let's move a little bit along. Questions, great questions coming in. Keep them coming. This is really terrific. So data centers, infrastructure. We are the biggest, baddest in the land when it comes to our reach for backup. We have data centers all over the world. We always have. We are in every continent except for South America. So we are everywhere. And we're the only one that is. So again, we are primarily U.S. based. We have data centers in Canada, so you can request that your data be stored in country specific. There's an added cost for that and having a country specific location of your data and not taking advantage of the whole network. You can talk to your partner specialist about that, but it's available for those of you who need that type of reassurance, or it's simply a requirement of security. Talking about some of the trends in online backup. Staging machine. It's not really so much a trend as it's really the combination of local and online backup. For years, there was the battle of, well, why should I do, online backup being a competitor of local backup? It is not at all. We have always included a local backup agent in our online backup software. They are complementary services, and they're very important when you put together a backup solution. And anyone actually put together formal risk registries? Anyone nerdy enough like me to actually go through and do that? Anyone know what a formal risk registry would even look like? We go through some of this in some of our Success with SOS and Best Practices webinars once you're onboarded a partner of ours. But basically what you do is you look at every instance of risk for the business that you're managing when it comes to the technical side of things, and you put a number beside it, and you say, okay, what are the odds of this server hardware failing? Well, if we do absolutely nothing, 100%. 100% of the time, your hardware will fail. So, okay, well, we need to put some prevention methods in there. And what's the damage? I'm sorry, and the second number is what's the damage that occurs when your server fails? Then you multiply those together, you get your risk factor. Risk factors, and this is all percentage, so risk factors over 10% need attention. Then you have a prevention method or options, and then you have reactionary options. And then you just have an acceptance, like, you know what, there's a risk that Los Angeles falls into the ocean when the big one hits. Frankly, I'm okay with that. I really like living in Southern California. I'm just going to accept that risk. Question, do you have these risk factors available for resellers? We do. We do have sample risk registries that you can work on, and it's a really good part of, one, putting together a nice managed service package pamphlet, pages of documents about how we do things, what we're going to do, and really maintaining that you're going to be secure. Anyone who's been burned by data loss is going to feel so nice and cozy about this nice, pretty document you put together about the risk management plan. By the way, we're not calling it risk management, we're calling it business continuity because it's sexier and people like paying for business continuity. People hate paying for risk management and insurance. Business continuity is the key word here. So combining local and online backup. Our best practice, and I'll show you a slide, is you set up some machine. It doesn't need to be a big old server like we have, a bunch of blades sitting here. It can just be a workstation that you're using. It could be a server, which would be recommended. But you run your image backups to this machine, and we're not forcing it down your throats. A lot of resellers force you to buy an appliance. So like Datto, for example, $1,500 wholesale out the door for this appliance. Zenith, $2,000 out the door for this appliance. And then you got to start buying the actual backup services you want to deploy. So we're not doing that. You can get a machine together for as little as $300. It's really something that we decided to stick as a software company. We're not a hardware company. You put the hardware together. Then you take this off-site. and we'll go through that. The rise of bring your own device. So this is huge. Again, Forrester has put out significant stats showing that 2/3 of all employees in the U.S. are using multiple devices. So you have a laptop or a workstation, and then you have your tablet or your mobile phones. Tablets account for 12% of those 2 or more devices. So, and you guys are keeping track of, the Surface just came out. Samsung Galaxy is a pretty cool tablet. The iPad continues to be awesome, debatably, depending on, if you feel there's a battle between Apple or Android, or if you just like them both differently. Tablets are becoming a part of everyday business. Almost everyone in our organization has a tablet in addition to their laptop, and we have backup applications for that. And again, we're seeing that Android users, because the platform is a little more open, are backing up between 8 and 10 gigs of data already. So these devices are moving in such a direction, the Surface being one of the first, to truly have a tablet that can start actually come close to replacing a laptop. Now, I'm not saying at all that it does, but it could potentially. And we'll get there. Devices always get smaller and lighter. Question, can you back up Windows Phone and tablet? We can't yet. We're working on that. Okay, so mobile endpoint protection. Again, same thing. Really what you're looking at is you go into somebody's environment, let's say they're a new customer, and you say, okay, let me see your backup and recovery plans. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, a machine dies. Where's the piece of paper that tells you what to do next? Oh, you don't have one. Oh, that's funny. That's something that all my customers get. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, what do you do if something gets lost? They're like, oh, well, we just got to have tribal knowledge that we go to this person for recovery. And you do a test recovery, and it's really easy because, again, endpoints are rarely protected in backup solutions today. And I wish I could send the article out. I haven't been able to find it. But there's an article in TechCrunch that was showing that significant data solely resides on user endpoints. They were talking, I think it was something around 2/3. I'm sorry, I can't get the article for you. That significant data resides only on individual devices, not centralized on a server, whether it's because of a sync schedule that doesn't work out, or they're just mobile workers. The rise of mobile workforce has been huge. The economy goes down, you got to cut some costs, get a smaller office space, let people work from home. A lot of people work better from home. So it's really interesting to see that the bring your own device aspect of things is completely disrupting the larger sides of businesses, and they don't know how to maintain security for their data. And we've been there. We launched our iPhone app in 2008. David asks, Android restores. In a number of words, how does that work? Well, you back up all of your applications and contacts, the whole file structure and everything. It's not a backup. It's not like an image of your phone. You would see your phone, and you'll see the whole file structure, and you'll be able to recover that whole file structure, or only part of it. So let's talk some money. How much does it cost you to get into the program? Well, the most common package that we're selling is the ServerSave 10. It's $549 a month, and it gets you 10 ServerSave licenses and 1,500 gigs, so like 1.5 terabytes. So the ServerSave 10 is the most popular package because typically you're going to have at least 10 servers that you can run bare metal backup images of. And then 1,500 gigabytes, it typically doesn't cover all that. So after you get into the program, you can always add on licenses and gigabytes as you grow. We do have on the lower end the ServerSave 5. It's $399, but you're only getting half. You're getting half as many licenses, and you're only getting 1 terabyte. So not quite as good of a deal, but if it's a cash flow thing and you just need to get some birds in hand and you need to grow with that, that's fine. That's why we have this option for you here. You can go ahead and do that. For those of you who don't have any servers to back up, maybe you're dealing with mostly home offices, consumers, and you just simply don't have any server OSs that you're working with, we do have an option to come in at still $399, but instead of licenses, you just have more cloud space. Talk to your partner specialist about that. It's not something we would publish out. So suggested retail price. This is what we recommend, that you would sell a evenly distributed one license, 200 gigs, to your customers. And this is really under market value. This is if you want to be disruptive, and it doesn't include managed services. So the IDC, in the first slide, we talked about the growth of the online backup market. That growth did not account for the managed service fees or those costs. It was strictly for the software as a service fees, the platform as a service fees, etc. So when you're selling the backup, there's more to it than just, here's a piece of software, see you later. Are you testing the recoveries? Are you checking in? Are you using our monitoring tools that we're going to give you? Are you remotely managing it? What types of things are you doing that the software doesn't do itself, that a human needs to be involved for? Or that you have, at least a human to monitor. Those are managed service costs. So $129 plus your managed service costs. Lots of different formulas as far as what that means for our managed service costs. I've seen lots of formulas, some being where you assume you're going to spend a half hour per workstation per month and an hour per server, or depending on the server, maybe 2 hours per server per month. And you take your hourly rate that you have today, so let's say $80 per hour. You charge $40 per month per workstation that you're monitoring and $80 per month per server that you're monitoring, and that's your base managed service package price. And what you'll see is that typically works out to be just about what people have paid you in a break-fix relationship. So if you have 10 employees and a server, you typically collect somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 from that person over the course of a year. So converting your break-fix relationship customers to managed service is tough if you don't have the historical payment data. But what you'll see is that for 80% of the year, they pay you nothing, or they pay you maybe $1,000 bucks. But then there's that 20% of the year, classic 80-20 rule, where they're going to pay you the other $8,000. And it's because a server died or something happened. And often those events could have been avoided with your preventative services that you'll sell and maintain with your managed service package. And our account management staff can help you put those plans together, and we have webinars to discuss those plans as well. And we also have a community of partners that helps you kind of vet out what works, what doesn't work. Any questions on what we've covered today? All right. All right, so to start, you're our partner, you need a service, you want to be familiar with our website, SOSOnlinebackup.com. Let's say you forget everything that we talked about today, which is fine. You guys are all busy, you got a lot of information, a lot more urgent matters in the back of your minds. But where do you go for more answers? Well, come in here, go to support. I always recommend submitting a ticket before you do anything. Submitting a ticket is very easy. You can even do screen records if that's applicable to the situation. This is actually a more complex form because I'm logged into the system right now. So this is a complex per me option. For you all, you would just be your email address, subject line, what is this about, body of the email, send. And then the option to take screenshots or screen recordings. It helps us help you faster. Well, once you submit a ticket, then you can use the chat function or you can use the phone, call us up. Right now, we just moved our whole support operation from India to Los Angeles. So we had to reduce our hours. So we work 24 hours, 7 days a week. We had to reduce that to 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. PST, Monday through Friday. We're starting to move that So we were 9 to 5 a couple months ago. We're now 6 to 6. And we're going to be adding UK support hours as we're launching a big UK operation, who are UK fearless leaders actually sitting with us here today, Martin. And then we're going to be adding weekend support as well. So these things will come over time. But the forums are a terrific place for any type of support. This partner advisory community, the PAC as we call it, this is you when you come on as a partner. You're in a PAC. We do crazy things like post our product roadmap to you. So this was updated. I updated this just the other day, the things that were being released, and then I'm going to be updating them today with plans for November as well. So we put up the plans per month of the big items that we plan on releasing. We also have a place for people to issue bug reports. We also have this feature requests and ideas. We launched this in August, and since August, we've already completed 30% of the items that have been added to our backlog. Some of these items were already in our backlog, but it reprioritized them. So like, for example, this backup schedule end time. We had this as an item that was just kind of in the backlog sitting there, and we didn't think it was that big of a priority. Well, I put it on here on August 21st, and it quickly became the most voted feature on the list. So we're like, great, well, instead of doing it next February, let's do it in October. And we did. And so we went out and built all that out. So we have a ton of stuff in here. It's a great community. We're very open. It's a pretty uncommon thing to actually be able to put forth a feature and see it delivered within a reasonable amount of time. And by pretty uncommon, I mean no one else does it. Try it. Like, if you have another partner that does this with that kind of success rate, name them. So our speed of development is really quite amazing. We even have features. So we're launching a new feature, and we had a beta that we put out for a new product, and we put out a contest where the winner of the most popular feature request throughout the beta would win an iPad. And the Mac client request was the simplest request that we had, but it was clearly the most the most logical. So our boy Clayton Reeves won an iPad. Level Platforms does it. So RMMs do that, but for integration with other services. Different that integration is what they do, and it behooves them to do that. But I'm talking about real granular feature differences. Okay, great. So that's the community. That's where you get support. Our support staff uses this dashboard to support you. So anytime you go in with a question, they're going to type your question right in here and see what comes up. So one of the big things that you're all going through right now is you're evaluating the services. It's probably this typing guide. And you get the ServerSave installation and user guide. This is going to be your technical evaluation. We also link to a lot of other knowledge-based articles in here. So, how does this work with a staging machine? With the flow of these services and how do they work together? There's a whole article on that. You go through the licensing details. How do I download this? How do I install this? Are there any prereqs? What are they? Are there best practices? It's all. We update this guide all the time, so it's good to come in here. And if you see something that's no longer accurate or didn't work for you or it's not clear, you can add a comment. So far, we haven't had anyone make a comment, so it is what it is. All right, so that is that part of the service. Let's go into the dashboard. What does your management dashboard look like? Well, first, this dashboard will look nothing like this in 2 weeks, and probably nothing like that in another 4 or 6 weeks. Again, we're moving so fast, it's quite amazing. So what we've done over with version 5 of the software is we rebuilt the backup application and how it works. Starting last June, we started rebuilding our partner dashboard, and we started building it with the intent of serving managed service providers. So the first thing as a managed service provider is, tell me what I need to know right now. So we have real-time monitoring. Real-time monitoring There's also an email report that sends you a daily digest. I believe it sends at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time every day, and you get a daily digest with a status report of every deployment that you have. A deployment being a specific backup account installed on a specific machine. You can see the details of what's going on. So this guy had 25 files selected, 25 files backed up. It took 9 seconds. Great. See this one? Only had 1 file selected for a demo likely, and it didn't change, so nothing happened. Here we have, that's one was canceled. Here we had a backup complete with errors. So it has a list of total files processed, unchanged files, files with errors, and then you look at the backup report that comes from the backup client, and it would actually tell you what files and which errors are there. And of course, you could always look into the logs, which is part of our more advanced tech and admin training, which will be run tomorrow morning by me. So hopefully you don't get too tired of my voice. Then next is, well, I need to tell my customers what's happening on a regular basis because I'm trying to collect some money from them. So you can type in their information here, and then just refresh just for that specific backup account. Then you can export this, put all sorts of pretty graphs together as far as data backed up and protected, etc. We're also launching at by now it looks like it might fall into the first week of December, but we're launching company support for partners. So you would be able to provision a company with a company admin that you could give out to somebody else, perfectly within that company. And they would have access to all this reporting as well. So they would have their own dashboard, but of course they wouldn't have everything that you have. They would just have things regarding their own accounts and the history and monitoring. But then you can do company reporting. We have the Partner Resource Center, where we give you all the resources, sales presentations, and guidelines, disaster recovery template, compliance guidelines. We have a lot of email marketing items here, so different templates you can use. These are templates that we've actually used. So this is what you can do here. Installation user guide, training videos, which we'll be updating. We do post recordings of our tech and admin training, so you'll see those. But we're waiting for our next release because it's going to completely change the look and feel of the software and some of the functionality. And we're going to start new videos in December and have them out to you by January. But right now, it still pretty much hits what you need to know. And as far as the white label aspect of it, for rebranding, you have rebranding settings. So you come in here, you type in the product name you want your customers to see, the logo, the desktop logo, the sender address, so when your customers get an email report from the backup saying your backup ran or ran theirs, whose email does it go to? Whatever you put here. Make sure it's real. You get logged into spam and it just won't make sense otherwise. Different URLs. These are typically going to go to your My Account or your web integration package, but you can change where these are going at any time, and just by simply changing it and hitting OK. So make that real simple. We got remote backup policies. So if you're deploying either as a silent installation across a network of users, or if you're going to use the MSI, MST to program in some default settings, you can do that. But then you need a way to remotely control these items. So we have policies that, for right now, we have 2 of the 3 options that are being sent to, or that you would go through in the client. So the client, you have a scanner page, then a Windows tree view, and then a scheduling page. Right now, we have the scanner and the scheduling. And then next, we'll have the tree view. And a good question here, can we have failures, errors sent to a different email account? So this is great for those of you using some PSAs. You have an error-only email notification that goes out to your PSA ticket creator email, and it creates a ticket every time there's an error. It's actually a feature request on the Partner Advisory Community board, the PAC board, and it's been voted up, and it's in our roadmap. So it's actually something that's going to be coming out, looks like probably by the end of the year. But right now, the email reporting is all-inclusive. That's the dashboard. Manage your licenses here. It looks like we're going over time. So if you have licenses, you just assign or unassign to a specific account, and that's all it is. The web integration package. I'm going to go over this very quickly because we need to get into the software still. The web integration package, again, the whole idea is integration without the cost of integration. So if you want to use the specific merchant gateway, we already work with Authorize.net, PayPal Pro, PayPal Standard, eWay, and PayGate. So if I come to PayPal Pro, for instance, you can do all the information instead of actually having to integrate in with PayPal Pro. You just hit Edit, put in your username, your password, and your signature, and then hit Go. And that's it. And then you're up and ready to start selling through this website that we've pre-baked for you. So here's the website. You can check it out. It's partnername.onlinebackupcheckout.com. This is given to everyone by default. You don't have to use it. It's simply another tool in your arsenal of things to go out and make some money. And again, testament to us paying attention to you and what you need as our partners. So you, well, your partner specialist will select a subdomain name to use by default. If you want to use a top-level domain, then you would contact our partner, Right Now Web Design, about that as a custom web development change. So here we have Right Now Web Design. You go contact them. Not only are they terrific, and we feel comfortable enough just to say go talk to them directly, and we don't broker that relationship, but we found that a lot of our partners, after working with them, end up going through them for all the other web development and websites that they need. So not only are they web designers, but they're primarily web developers, but they do great web design as well. So you have this whole template, all these pages, and then you have a sign-up page. Most of you are thinking, well, we don't use this for our customers. We build them separately. That's fine. That's not the intent. The intent is giving you multiple options to do whatever you need to do to make some money. So if you have, say, 500 users downstream of your businesses, you know, is that accurate? How many end users would you say you have access to across all of your businesses? So take that number and add 50 bucks a year, or add 100 bucks a year, and maybe you have a 10% take rate. That's not small money. I mean, it's going to buy you at the very least, a nice dinner every once in a while. Something to come out for a company party, get company morale up there, get your community together. It's just incremental revenue that you don't really have to work too hard for. There's a huge coupon system. Huge is kind of a silly word to use. It's a little coupon system that's hugely easy to use. So you select a code, the description for yourself. You can have a start date and end date. So if you want to do a month-to-month special, you can do that as well. You can do a discount based on a fixed dollar amount or on a percentage. So you could say you get $50 off any purchase. Great. You can also limit it by number of uses. So you can say, okay, first 20 people get 50% off of whatever plan they buy. That's a great way to get people to the site. It's a great promotion, and it's not going to make you broke. Maybe it's going to be a good loss leader. You take a few losses for 20 users, then maybe you get another 30 users at full boat or 10% off. So it's really pretty flexible to use. You can leave behind at universities. Academic integrity is huge. Students have a ton of data on their laptops, and they need to make sure that's protected from theft, loss, damages to and from class and between where they're living. And they're paying a lot of money for that education. So being a student is just like being a business. There's a lot of money at stake if they lose their information and fail a course. In some private schools, a single course could be $5,000 for a single semester. Or even if you take extension courses, those aren't cheap either. You get $1,000 for one single course, $500, whatever it is. And of course, there's always the free online Stanford courses. But it's good information to be able to put out there. any questions on what we've gone through today? So we're over time. I'm still going to go through a real quick demo for those of you who want to stick around. Any questions for those of you who can't stick around? Here's our money tree slide. Go shake it. Partner specialists are going to run through a very specific ROI with you. So return on investment for you entering this program. They're going to talk about your business. How do you market to your customers? What type of customers do you have? What type of take rate do you think you could get with a service like this? Where's the best place to start? All these questions, all the questions you have, they're going to talk about it with you and make sure that the program that you're entering is a program that you're going to make money on. Being channel focused, 80% of our business is through our channel. You need to have success or we don't have success. Question, Daryl asks, have your servers ever been hacked? No. If they had, it wouldn't matter as far as, it would be awful. It would be awful if our servers actually were hacked, but the data would remain secure. Your data would not be at risk. You wouldn't have to put out a notice like Dropbox did where, 5 million user accounts and all of your personal information was just left out into the open. That doesn't work that way with us. We encrypt the data before we transfer. We transfer over an encrypted tunnel, and then we transfer at rest. Or, we encrypt at rest. So we're doing real intense levels of security. Right, and all those encryption levels are military grade. So 256-bit AES for the pre-transfer encryption, 128-bit SSL, and another 256 at rest. David asks, where's the other 20% of revenue from? I have a bakery around the corner, and we do great. No, we do have a direct operation. So we do have a direct-to-market channel. It's primarily focused on home users. Our business sell-through is actually embarrassingly poor, so you don't have to worry about that. Most businesses need to talk to somebody, and they want somebody managing their backups, and they go to you. So, and that's it. And the reps that you're going to talk to, they don't handle direct sales. They're strictly partner sales people. David asks, if we lose encryption keys, is there a way to recover a file? There are password recovery options. There is a feature called UltraSafe, wherein if you sign up an account and you enable UltraSafe, this is one, it's required for HIPAA compliance. So that's the Health Information Portability Accountability Act, something like that, HIPAA. To be HIPAA compliant, HIPAA is a United States regulation. It has to do with healthcare records. Almost every healthcare regulatory compliance has the same requirements. So if you're dealing with healthcare records in Canada, well, I think that's different. I don't think in Canada you're allowed to actually back up healthcare records off-site, which seems counterproductive. But it is what it is. Government agencies don't typically get things right. Daryl asks, on the rebranded website, are we able to access the knowledge base for our customers to refer to? Nope, knowledge base is rebranded as SOS. If you do want to get a knowledge base together based on hours, we have the articles there, and you can go and rip the data from them, but we don't have them available rebranded. We could potentially get an XML and do that, but it's not a standard thing that we put out there. All right, let's go through a quick demo. So this is a VM running Windows 2008 R2. Again, I apologize for going over, but you guys had great questions, so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And you could always trial this afterwards anyway. So when we say ServerSave, we mean these three applications. So we have bare metal image creator. That's what it does. It creates bare metal images. You select a partition, it creates a bare metal image of that partition. You can convert that image into a VHD or VMDK, or you can just leave it as is, your choice. The difference is for a hardware independent restore, having it converted first into a VM-ready image is going to be a faster recovery. Converting the image into a virtual option, a VHD or VMDK, is going to take just as long as doing a recovery. So it's a preemptive thing that you would do. It's a preparation. Exchange granular recovery. That's what it does. You would only use this to recover specific objects from Exchange or mailboxes or entire mail stores. So if you're doing an Exchange recovery, you do this. Online backup and recovery. This is to get files to the SOS cloud or to your cloud if you are interested in private cloud options, and then to get data back from that cloud. So let's do it. So first, we launch bare metal image creator. So we hit backup, hit next, and you notice this is Shadow Protect. So we've integrated with Shadow Protect. It's great technology. It's version 3.5. The reason we offer 3.5 and not 4 is because the backup tools are the same in 3.5 and version 4, and the recovery tools, which are awesome in version 4, are free. So you only need a license to do a backup. So sometimes it may require another step or so, but you know, the license is twice the cost for version 4, and we had our partners vote. They liked the idea of saving money and getting basically the same functionality. So you select a partition. Question, bare metal, can you restore on different hardware directly? Yes. So you can restore to dissimilar hardware. So here you would select your staging machine or some storage device on the network. We recommend a machine, not just a NAS, because it gives you a nice recovery point. Our recommendation is based on putting together a full backup solution, not just a way to get a backup off of the main machine, but actually takes into consideration production resources when you're taking those files off-site, as well as having a recovery option. So for now, we just do it to Virtual Drive F, which is essentially a NAS. Excuse me, sorry. Scheduling options. This is pretty common. You do a full backup once a week, incrementals until you do the next full. With our technology, we don't do that. We recommend using a continuous incremental option, especially if you're going off-site. Why if you're going off-site? Because if you're doing a new full backup every week, most of you won't have the bandwidth or the system resources to get that file off-site every week. So if you have 100 gig, say you have a 200 gig file server, and you take an image of it, it compresses down to 100 gigs. 100 gigs with a 2 megabit per second pipe can take about an hour per gig. It can take about 100 hours. It's not going to be a viable option for you. So doing continuous incremental backup means that you can get your bare metal images up to the cloud on a regular basis, nightly, and it'd be viable for you. And next, compression method. Standard or high, depending on what you want to wait for or what your transfer of implementations are. You can encrypt the local backup, which is also a requirement by HIPAA as of 2010. HIPAA requires a 128-bit AES encryption locally, so you can select that here. And that's for storage locally. Splitting the image, we recommend splitting your images into 5 gig chunks. Why? Because it's better for backup and recovery speeds. Also, the number of files you have in the bare metal chain does nothing for your recovery process. It doesn't matter. You can have 1,000, you can have 1, it's the same step, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Okay, next, finish. Now we have a bare metal image backup running. We have options up here to send out email reports, so you can view that. The backup history tab gives you great detail on what's actually happening here. So those of you using level platforms, different RMMs, you'll be able to monitor this, no problem. You should be able to anyways. So now let's take that bare metal image off-site. So we launch Online Backup and Recovery Manager. And you have 3 options. We have backup, restore, and image stream. Image stream is a backup option specifically for bare metal backup images. So we select this because that's what we're demoing today. So I add, and I add my F drive. So that's where I'm running all my bare metal backups to. Great. Add network connection. You can do that too. It's important to be able to do that. So we hit next. Then you schedule it. You have a start time. You have an end time. You can have multiple email reports. Backup date of the wizard. Backup automatically. That's to set a schedule. And backup even when the user is not logged on. So you put your Windows domain credentials in here. Our systems are all based on, they're all authenticated. Or access to files is all authenticated and authorized based on your Windows user. So that's the same with Exchange, which you'll see. So you want to make sure that option is checked. So we finish and we're done. So 3 steps to create a backup. Then we go to restore. So we're running a backup, blah, blah, blah. See this account has 100 gigs used, so 200 gig account. Last backup date was today. So we hit online restore. It's going to refresh to see what we have available. And you get a bold date next to the days that have backups. So I can go all the way back, and again, this is part of the unlimited archiving. What was this account created? So I go back to December 14th. Say it next. And it shows me these machines, and I can drain down to it, and it's going to show me specific files within those machines, all accurate up to the 14th. So anything backed up after the 14th won't show, including other versions. Most commonly, you just go to today's backup, hit refresh, and you can see all these different machines I have on here. So I can explore the Mac, see what I have on my Mac. And here we go. And then I have a drop down here next to the versions. So it shows me, okay, you have a version from June, August, and August. And there's a timestamp and a size. You can select which one you want, and then hit recover. All right. So let's say we've recovered all those images. So we go to Classic View, because I like Classic View better because I'm a Classic View type of guy. And let's say we just want to recover, excuse me again, all of these backup jobs. So you have backup job 5, incrementals, tons of incrementals here. So we would just shift select all of them. Right click, recover. You pick a location, then you hit go. Let's say I recovered to my staging machine, which right now is my F drive. So I open up the F drive, and I see these bare metal image files that I've recovered. So let's see, we got backup job. So we have backup job 5, incremental 52. Sure, let's just recover to that point. For some reason, I want to go back to the 25th. So I right click, hit quick mount. Excuse me. David asked, can we do continuous backups of Exchange and QuickBooks shared database and QuickBooks Enterprise? If so, what is the frequency of the continuous protection? You can do a bare metal image backup of the particular partition which those databases are sitting on as frequently as every hour. Now, I think you can actually make it more frequent too. I think you can do it every 15 minutes. How quickly you can do it really depends on your strategy and the machine that you're doing it on and to, and the effect on the performance to your users. And also the frequency at which you want to go up to the cloud. So you see that I didn't even open up the software. I just right-click, hit Quick Mount, and it's mounted a virtual drive M with its Exchange data on it. Very quick and easy to do. No big deal, right? So now, well, we recovered that data, but now I need to have better control because it's Exchange data. So I open up EGR. With EGR, I go and select my Exchange database file. So let's say I got M on here, open up M, mailbox, EDB, there it is. Automatically finds the transaction logs. Then you hit OK, good, go to town. And again, you don't have to enable any settings for this to be an option. There's no add-on plug-in cost or service. This just comes with every ServerSave license. So you have all the data from the backup that we just recovered from. So now we need to say, okay, well, where's the live environment? So I'll connect all the mailboxes. So this is going to do 2 steps. It's going to first authorize use of the program by looking at the presence of this online backup app and checking with the username that's signed in on it. And then it's going to authenticate access to the Exchange database based on your Windows user. So we hit close. Great, we have access. And now we can drill down into the specific objects of each user. So inbox items is what we have for today. So let's say user 1 comes to you and says, Mr. Techman, I got 50K on the line and I need this attachment or I can't make that money. You need to get it for me. He says, calm down, Fido, what's the deal? What are you looking for? He says, there's this attachment, it has to do with some management guide, and I don't know, I don't know where it is. So okay, fine. So we search for it, we find it, and we say, okay, is it an email that you sent to, James, or that you sent to James and Adam, and the subject line says this, sets on this date, and it's in this folder, and the user says, I don't know. What does the attachment say? What is the body of the email? Oh, let's check. Double click, quick preview. Then all of a sudden we check the attachment. It says, oh, it's managementguide.pdf. And it says you will find the Nortel management user manual attached in this email. And he says, perfect, that's the one. When can you get it to me? And you say, hold your horses, drag and drop, recovered. You got it in your inbox right now. Done. So it's a really simple tool to use. We could also expand the search to search across the whole EDB. Or let's say we're already authorized as an Exchange administrator because it uses Windows credentials. So let's go to the live database. Maybe the other way around. Maybe someone says, oh, darn, I sent this guide out to the whole world and no one should have it. It contains sensitive data. Or maybe it's just, hey, there's tons of typos in this thing. I'm going to look real dumb. Is there any way you could delete that? So with the same tool, you search for management guide, but now on the live server. And this comes up, and you just quickly shift select, and then you can right click and delete all these messages once they all populate. So it's a real fast and easy tool to use. You don't really require huge amounts of experience and technical skills and Exchange management to use this tool and be effective for these daily requests of, I lost a message, I lost a calendar invite, oh, I deleted my whole mailbox somehow. These types of daily things can be quite time consuming, and it's tough when you only have a couple of your techs who are able to do this, and now you can have anyone do it. So it's really quite great. I can also drag and drop a whole mailbox. So just, okay, let's just merge these mailboxes, go to town. It's going to go through every object and just take the objects that are found in here and put it in this guy. Let's say I want to drag the whole source EDB that I just recovered. And I said, you know what? It's just time. Let's just go ahead and merge all these things together. It asked me, do you want mailboxes to be created for mailboxes that do not exist? We hit yes, and then that's an option there too. What versions of Exchange? 2007, 2012? I think the recent one was just released. Everything since 2007. And I think actually 2003 might work too. How is search working? Does it need to do a search through the entire database, or is it indexed beforehand? Well, it depends on the frequency of using it. If you've used the software before, then it uses an index. If not, the first search is going to go through everything that you tell it to search. But again, you saw how I could be quite specific and say, I only want to search this mailbox, or I want to search everything. So you can kind of limit the search time. What about 2003 SBS? Is there support for that? Yep, you're golden. Any questions on the technology? You guys stuck around. A lot of you stuck around. I'm surprised about how many stuck around for this additional demo. How does it all look? Do you guys excited? Going to get trials? You gonna call up our partner specialist and go see how much money you can make? And 877-896-3693 3611. It's all over the website. I'll put this in the chat too. Yeah, Exchange 2003 will work as well. Excuse me. All right, I think that'll be pretty much it for today. No problem, Greg. You're welcome. I'm glad to have you on. Thank you for joining. I'd like to thank you all for your participation today. Again, we're big on that comfy community feeling. We like communicating with you because you're the ones using the software we're building, and we appreciate that. You have other choices, and you chose us. So hopefully we'll see you later in the week, later in the month, and you'll be a part of our ongoing development of products and services moving forward. So thank you all. Cheers.